Most people have already lost the battle before they even open their eyes. While you're hitting snooze, Jim Rohn was activating a mental code that transformed him from a broke calculator salesman into a mentor for billionaires. What he did before 8 a.m. wasn't a morning routine. It was a war operation against mediocrity. What if I told you the secret wasn't in what he drank or the exercise he did, but in one specific question he asked himself before his feet even hit the floor? A question that, if you ignore it, guarantees you'll stay exactly where you are for the next 10 years. Stay with me. In the next few minutes, I'm opening the black box of Rohn's mornings. I'm going to show you the fatal mistake that 99% of people make in the first hour of the day and the exact technique, which he called the architect's ritual, that shaped fortunes. The myth of discipline. You think you need more willpower. Wrong. Jim Rohn used to say that discipline is just the end result. What happens before 8 a.m. is the cause. If you wake up tired, reactive, checking notifications from people who don't care about you, you've already surrendered control of your life. Rohn wasn't a superhuman. He was a man who understood that the morning is the purity filter for the rest of the day. If the filter is dirty, everything that passes through it comes out contaminated. But watch out. There's a detail in his method that almost no one notices. If you do the sequence in the wrong order, you'll just burn out faster. There is a hierarchy, and it begins in the dark. The first loop, planned silence. Before any coffee, before any words. Jim Rohn practiced what he called intention scanning. He didn't plan his day in the morning. That's an amateur mistake. He reviewed the plan that was already ready. Do you know why you procrastinate? Because your brain spends too much energy deciding what to do. Rohn eliminated the decision. Before 8 a.m., he wasn't an executor, he was an observer. He sat with a notebook. But it wasn't an ordinary diary. It was what he called the legacy journal. And what he wrote in there is what separates those who earn $1,000 from those who earn millions. I'll reveal the exact content of that notebook in a moment, but first, you need to understand the danger of skipping phase 2. The reactivity trap. Do you know the biggest killer of fortunes in the 21st century? The phone by the side of the bed. Rohn didn't have a smartphone, but he had the equivalent, other people's concerns. He said, if you don't have a plan for your life, you're part of someone else's plan. And guess what they planned for you? Nothing. Before 8 a.m., the outside world didn't exist. It was the time to feed the mind. But not with news. News is intellectual trash. He read philosophy, strategy, and history. He looked for high-impact ideas. He believed that a single sentence read at 6:30 a.m. could yield $1 million by 2 p.m. Are you reading the right sentences? Or are you consuming everyone else's chaos? The architect's ritual, the step-by-step. Here is the structure he followed. Pay attention, because every minute here is worth gold. The awakening of consciousness. He didn't jump out of bed. He spent 5 minutes in aggressive gratitude. It wasn't fluffy. It was tactical. You cannot build an empire on a foundation of scarcity. The food for thought, 30 minutes of serious reading. If the book doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Refinement writing. This is where that notebook I mentioned comes in. Jim Rohn wrote 3 things every single day before 8 a.m. What did I do yesterday that I'm proud of? Where did I fail and why? What is the one thing that, if done today, makes everything else unnecessary? That third question is the secret. Most people have a list of 20 tasks. Rohn had one. A mission. Everything else was noise. Why you will fail unless you do this. Most of you will hear this and think, I'll start tomorrow. You won't. Do you know why? Because your nightly routine is garbage. Rohn said the successful morning starts the night before. If you don't prepare the soil, the seed won't sprout. He prepared his clothes, his schedule, and his mind before sleeping. That way, when he woke up, the path was clear. No friction. Success hates friction. But there is something even deeper. Something he did at 7:45 a.m. that changed his physiology. It wasn't heavy exercise, it was something mental he called the future rehearsal. The future rehearsal. He would close his eyes and visualize not the goal, but the person he needed to become to reach the goal. He didn't see the $1 million. He saw the discipline, the calm under pressure, the ability to say no. If you see yourself as a loser trying to wake up early, you'll go back to sleep. If you see yourself as the architect of your own life, the bed becomes uncomfortable. The secret of the leather notebook. You think Jim Rohn just read and thought? Wrong. He was a collector of ideas. He said, "Don't trust your memory. Memory is a traitor that robs you when you need it most." Before 8 a.m., he opened what he called his treasury journal. But pay attention, he didn't write how he felt. He wrote what he learned. If he heard a powerful phrase on the radio or read a paragraph that changed his perspective, it went on paper immediately. Do you know why you feel stagnant? Because you consume information like fast food. It goes in one ear and out the other. Rohn turned information into intellectual capital. He divided his notebook into 3 secret columns before 8 a.m. The idea, the pure concept, the value. How much is this idea worth if I apply it today? The action, who do I need to call or what do I need to sell using this? If you can't put a financial or practical value on what you learned in the morning, you aren't studying, you're entertaining yourself. And entertainment is the luxury of the poor. The law of averages applied to waking up. Jim Rohn was a master of numbers. He understood that success is a game of probability. He knew that if he won the morning on 5 out of 7 days, he was already ahead of 95% of humanity. But here is the mistake that will destroy you, trying to be perfect. If you wake up late one day and give up on the whole week, you've fallen into the trap of the mediocre mind. Rohn said, success is the study of the obvious. The obvious is that you will fail. The difference is what he did at 7:15 a.m. when something went wrong. He didn't punish himself. He recalibrated. He had a mental trigger phrase, this is just a data point, not a destiny. He wiped away the error and went back to the ritual. Do you have a trigger phrase? Or do you let one bad morning turn into a month of failures? The relationship filter, the no moment. Between 7:30 and 8 a.m., Rohn did something brutal. He reviewed his contact list for the day. He believed firmly in the law of association. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. He looked at his scheduled meetings and asked himself, does this person pull me up or push me down? If the answer was down, he found a way to shorten his time with them. He protected his morning energy like it was a bank vault. He knew a toxic conversation at 8:15 a.m. would destroy his productivity until 5 p.m. Are you letting energy vampires eat your breakfast? Do you reply to that WhatsApp group that only complains about the economy first thing in the morning? If so, you're digging your own financial grave. The transition, the leap into the arena. At 7:55 a.m., the ritual ended. There was no slow transition. Jim Rohn described this moment as putting on the armor. He left the house not to try, but to conquer. The difference between the millionaire and the average worker is that the millionaire has already won the war in his mind before arriving at the office. The average worker starts fighting when they sit in the chair. Rohn said, "The day will pay you what you asked of it. If you ask for a quiet day, life gives you stagnation. If you ask for measurable progress, life gives you obstacles that build muscle." The vault of the 5 sacred readings. Jim Rohn said that a $1 million house with a $100 library is a tragedy. Before 8 a.m., he didn't read fiction. He didn't read entertainment. He read tools. He selected 5 pillars that every aspiring millionaire needs to install in their brain before the world starts screaming. The psychology of wealth. He devoured Think and Grow Rich. But he didn't read it like a book. He read it like an engineering manual. Time management, or self-management. He studied how Stoic philosophers divided the day. He knew time cannot be managed, only activity. The art of persuasion. Rohn knew no one gets rich alone. Before 8 a.m., he reviewed communication techniques. He wanted to be the most convincing man in the room by 9 a.m. Biographical history. He read about Lincoln, Rockefeller, and Carnegie. Why? To normalize the impossible. The Bible, as a philosophy of success regardless of religion, Rohn extracted the laws of sowing and reaping. If you don't plant in the spring, don't beg in the autumn. The 15-minute contract. Here is the pro tip no one tells you. Between 7:15 and 7:30 a.m., Jim Rohn did what he called the contract with the future. He took a blank sheet of paper and wrote his long-term goals, 1, 5, and 10 years, as if they were happening now. I am so grateful now that I earn X per month. I am so grateful now that my company operates in 10 countries. This isn't esoteric, positive thinking. It's applied neuroscience. He was programming his brain's reticular activating system, RAS. By writing this before 8 a.m., his brain spent the rest of the day looking for opportunities that matched that description. The final revelation. Jim Rohn's secret wasn't the time he woke up. It was the intensity with which he lived that hour. He wasn't just awake. He was present. He was in command. Do you want his results? Then stop acting like a victim of circumstances. The world owes you nothing. But you owe yourself a morning of respect. Tomorrow morning, the alarm will go off. That will be your moment of truth. Will you be the slave of your body or the master of your destiny?